After 10 episodes of mysterious deaths, supernatural creatures, and clues buried throughout the island's history, Widow's Bay finally delivers answers about the curse that has haunted the town for centuries. At first glance, the finale seems to resolve the central mystery. Tom discovers who the last descendant of Richard Warren is, a sacrifice is made, the storm ends, and the sun rises over the island. But the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that almost nothing has truly been solved. Instead, the finale completely changes what we thought we knew and sets up an even darker future for season 2. The biggest revelation revolves around the Warren bloodline. Ever since Richard Warren explained that the curse could only end when his bloodline ended, everyone assumed finding the final descendant would be the key to saving Widow's Bay. Earlier in the season, Richard himself was killed. But that wasn't enough because another branch of the family survived. The investigation eventually led Tom to Ruth Livingston, his elderly assistant. Evidence seemed to confirm that she was the last living descendant of Richard Warren through Frances, the child who survived when the rest of Warren's children died. Because of this, Tom reaches an impossible conclusion. If Ruth dies, the bloodline dies with her and the curse ends. The finale spends a long time showing how difficult this decision is for him. He searches through her medical records, hoping to discover a terminal illness that might make the choice easier. Instead, he finds a healthy, active woman who spends her days helping neighbors, attending clubs, and supporting the community. Every conversation with Ruth makes killing her harder. She isn't some distant historical figure connected to an ancient curse. She's a real person with friends, memories, and a life she still values. Even so, Tom convinces himself that sacrificing one person is worth saving everyone else. He secretly mixes dangerous medications into her tea and waits for her to die peacefully. During this scene, Tom admits several truths he has been carrying throughout the season. He reveals that he believed his late wife when she warned him about the island. He knew there was something wrong with Widow's Bay long before most people did. He also blames himself for encouraging tourism, bringing outsiders into a place he suspected was dangerous. His attempt to kill Ruth isn't motivated by cruelty. It's motivated by guilt and desperation. But the plan collapses when Ruth reveals a secret she has carried for decades. Years earlier, she had an affair with a married man and became pregnant. Unable to raise the child herself, she allowed another family to adopt the baby. That child grew up to become Lauren, Tom's wife. Suddenly, the entire family tree changes. Ruth is not the last descendant after all. Lauren inherited the Warren bloodline from Ruth, and Lauren passed it to her son, Evan. In one shocking conversation, Tom realizes that his own son is the final descendant of Richard Warren. This changes everything. Throughout the season, Tom believed he might eventually have to sacrifice someone he cared about. He never imagined that person would be Evan. If the curse can only end with the extinction of the Warren bloodline, then killing Ruth accomplishes nothing. Evan is now the final link connecting the present day to Richard Warren's original bargain. The implications are terrifying. Earlier in the series, Tom's wife warned that people born on the island could never truly leave. Now we understand why. Evan isn't just another resident. He is the living continuation of the covenant that binds the entity to Widow's Bay. As long as he survives, the pact remains active. The tragedy of the ending is that Tom immediately understands what would happen if this secret became public. The townspeople have spent generations suffering because of the curse. If they learn Evan is the key to ending it, some of them may decide his death is justified. For the first time, Tom's mission shifts from saving the town to protecting his son. The finale becomes even more chaotic when Sheriff Clemens arrives. Unlike Tom, Clemens has his own personal reason for wanting the curse broken. His wife is about to give birth. If his child is born on the island, that child may become trapped there forever. Desperate to secure a future for his family, he believes Ruth's death is necessary. Before he learns the truth about Evan, he shoots Ruth. Ironically, the shooting doesn't accomplish anything. Ruth survives, but the moment reveals how dangerous the situation has become. The curse is no longer an abstract problem. People are willing to kill to stop it. While all of this unfolds, another mystery is finally explained beneath the emergency shelter. Throughout the season, strange references hinted that the shelter served a darker purpose. During the storm, Evan and his friends discover hidden rooms containing an electric chair and a sealed metal hatch. At the same time, Dale uncovers old instructional films explaining the island's sacrifice system. These recordings reveal that the town once maintained an organized process for feeding the entity. Certain people were selected as offerings and delivered to the creature. The horrifying truth is that the emergency shelter was never built solely to protect people from storms. It was designed as a collection point for sacrifices. The loudspeaker announcement during the storm suddenly makes sense. The voice instructing people to move forward and not beg wasn't part of an evacuation plan. It was part of an execution ritual. This revelation also explains the church bell mystery that has haunted the season. Early on, Tom heard the church bell ringing despite the fact that it had supposedly been chained up for years. Reverend Bryce investigated the event and became so disturbed by what he discovered that he eventually took his own life. The finale finally reveals why. The old recordings explain that each bell toll represents a required sacrifice. When the bell rings, the island is announcing how many souls the entity demands. The covenant made by Richard Warren remains active, and every toll signals a debt that must be paid. The phrase repeated throughout the finale is especially important. The covenant must be honored fully. That means partial sacrifices are not enough. The entity keeps count. This brings us to Kenny's death. During the panic inside the shelter, Kenny becomes trapped in the hidden chamber beneath the building. Moments later, he disappears. The storm immediately stops. The timing is crucial. The entity had been hunting for a final victim throughout the night. Once Kenny is taken, the demand associated with the latest toll is satisfied. The creature receives what it wants, and the storm ends. Another detail makes this scene even more interesting. The entity waits until Evan leaves the chamber before attacking. This strongly suggests it cannot harm the final Warren descendant. Killing Evan would destroy the bloodline and potentially end the covenant entirely. The creature appears to understand this risk and avoids it. Yet Kenny's death doesn't solve the larger problem. The final scene reveals the most chilling twist of all. The morning after the storm, Tom stands overlooking the island's damage. Everything seems calm. The immediate crisis has passed. Then he hears the church bell again. This time it rings 8 times. The meaning is devastating. One sacrifice has been completed, but the covenant still requires 8 more. The entity remains hungry. The debt has not been paid. Many viewers initially assumed the creature worked like Pennywise from It, waking periodically to feed before returning to sleep. The finale suggests something worse. The entity is actively tracking a quota of deaths. Every bell toll represents a future victim. Until the required number of sacrifices is reached, the horrors haunting Widow's Bay will continue. The final moments leave nearly every major character trapped in impossible circumstances. Tom knows Evan is the last descendant and must keep that secret at all costs. Ruth is alive and shares the same knowledge. Clemens knows there is another descendant somewhere but doesn't know who it is. Patricia and Wick believe Tom murdered Ruth. Evan has unknowingly become the most important person on the island, and somewhere beneath Widow's Bay, the entity waits for 8 more souls. What makes the ending so effective is that it doesn't really conclude the story. Instead, it transforms the central conflict. For most of Season 1, the goal was ending the curse. Now the curse may be impossible to end without sacrificing an innocent child. The question is no longer whether the town can be saved. The question is what everyone is willing to do to save it. Season 1 began as a mystery about a cursed island. It ends as a moral nightmare. Tom finally discovers the truth, but the truth offers no solution. The entity is still there. The sacrifices are still required. The bell is still ringing. And the one person standing between Widow's Bay and freedom is Tom's own son. That's why the finale isn't really about Kenny's death, the storm, or even the demon itself. It's about Tom realizing that every path forward leads to tragedy. If Evan lives, the curse continues. If Evan dies, the curse may end, but Tom loses the only family he has left. The season closes with that impossible choice hanging over the island, ensuring that the real horror of Widow's Bay is only beginning.